Bitcoin is starting to make its way back. It's up 34% in the past month. It's around $44,000 right now. Not only that, but this week, Coinbase said its transactions continue to grow as its own share price recovers. And AMC just announced it'll accept Bitcoin as payment. But critics say Bitcoin still faces a lot of hurdles. And our next guest is betting on new innovations in the sector to help it hit its next big milestone, which includes moving money around faster and easier and paying bills a lot more cheaply. With me now is Jack Mallers. He is the CEO of Strike. Jack, it's great to have you. Welcome.
Yo, Kelly, how are we? Thanks for having me.
Listen, I actually want to start on one of the core points of confusion around Bitcoin and AMC's announcement this week. You know, in the U.S., this is still treated as property. It doesn't really make sense to pay for anything with Bitcoin, even if companies let you. You have to pay tax on it, right? So to me, do you see a realistic vision in the near term where the U.S. is going to change the way it treats cryptocurrency? Because otherwise, even with the Lightning Network, what's the point? How much are people realistically going to be transacting?
You know what, Kelly, I agree. I think there needs to be a conceptual division between Bitcoin, the asset, this is this hard money, fixed supply, commodity-like asset, and Bitcoin, the network. There is a monetary network that allows Bitcoin to do things like payment standards, receiving standards, a clearing cash finality, and physical bearer instrument clearance. And that is innovative on its own right. And we can actually use that as an infrastructure piece similar to the Visa monetary network or the PayPal monetary network, but instead use the Bitcoin monetary network under the hood to do everything cheaper, better, faster. And so at Strike, we allow you to use this infrastructure rail with your Chase checking account or your Visa debit card without making you use and spend Bitcoin, the asset or the property as treated by the United States. So I think that division and that mental model is going to be really helpful. And we're going to see a lot of disruption with Bitcoin, the monetary network.
And I want to stay on the regulatory theme for just another moment, because we've seen obviously some big moves in Congress this week. Do you have concerns about what's in the infrastructure bill?
No, I have a lot of thoughts, but my high level thoughts are human beings are tool builders. Innovation is inherent in us as a species, and it's what separates us from other primates. And any country positioning against innovation is not good, is against the best interest of humanity. And that's against the very principles America was built on. And so I think Bitcoin transcends race, gender, culture, countries, borders. And it really allows us to unite. I think the efforts that is combined by all different types of parties and walks of life to get this right is inspiring. And we will get this right, not because we want to, but because we have to.
And some argue that maybe there's even more of an opportunity now because of the way China has cracked down on Bitcoin mining, that sort of intellectual capital is looking for somewhere to go. Tell me about the Strike app and what differentiates it from a lot of the other payment and wallet apps. I know you guys have had some news lately about maybe helping people get Bitcoin off the app more easily. I know you're trying to do lower fees even for purchasing or transacting in Bitcoin than rivals like Coinbase. Where is this going, and what's the use case for people who may not have experienced it yet?
Yeah, so at Strike, we think that the Bitcoin network is the world's best monetary network, and it's not even close. The Bitcoin network is one of the more powerful innovations for money as a technology in human history. And so similar to the PayPal network or the Visa network or the Square monetary network, we operate on top of the Bitcoin monetary network. We are a native neobank, like a Chime, like a Venmo, like a Cash App, like under the hood, we use Bitcoin. It allows us to do everything cheaper, faster, more global, and better. And so you're talking about a network that can achieve bearer instrument cash finality anywhere in the world, 24/7, 365. It is the most inclusive monetary network of all time. And so that's where our innovation lies. And so with us rolling out products like being the cheapest place in America to buy Bitcoin, we are taking a direct shot at those that are wasting resources on supporting other altcoins dubbed shitcoins, because we think the true innovation is a global, unified, singular, open source payment standard for the world. And that's where we spend our time and resources.
Interesting. Let me ask you one stablecoin question before I want to ask you about what's sort of the latest in El Salvador. But on the stablecoin front, when you guys were getting off the ground, whether it was there or elsewhere, you've had to use Tether. Can you explain why stablecoins are so important to Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, things that happen in that monetary universe? And even with the latest revelations from USDC about how much it's backed one for one, what is the need? What does the Bitcoin community need in terms of some kind of digital coin? Can the Fed provide it? Or, is this kind of a major headwind ultimately to kind of crypto going more mainstream?
Yeah, so here's our take at Strike, and it may be unique, it may be different, but this is where we sit, is that we're building a product that can be used by all 8 billion people. That's because the Bitcoin monetary network is the most inclusive network of all time when it comes to money. And so we're building products not only for the developed world, not only for those in Chicago and New York, but we're building for those in third world countries and developing countries. These people don't have bank accounts. They don't have access to any monetary network. And so how can we give them the Chase checking account, the Visa debit card? We need some form of cash collateral. And a stable coin, in this particular instance, allowed us to deliver that beautiful experience of using this monetary infrastructure as rails under the hood and exposing them to a dollar-like balance. And so we used it to optimize for the experience, in particular for those in the developing world who don't have access to maybe the Chase checking account that I do.
So a necessary evil?
I think it was a necessary solution. There's no reason to dub anything good or evil. We optimize to build the best experience for our consumers. We would love to innovate and continue to improve on that, but at the time, that was what we deemed best.
Understood. So let's talk about El Salvador for a moment, because we are about a month away from its implementation of Bitcoin as another form of legal tender in the country, along with the US dollar. People have had a chance now to kind of hear the full sort of wild story about how that came to be in your relationship down there, and the announcement that kind of shocked the world at the Bitcoin Miami conference. What do you say to the critics, Jack, who insist that El Salvador is using you and Strike and Bitcoin to pursue its own political ends, which are, you know, not the highfalutin ones you've been describing?
What do you want me to say, Kelly? Everyone has an opinion, and I care about none of them. Here's the reality. How about someone else try and be the sitting president of a Central American country like El Salvador? How do you deal with the absolute asinine monetary expansion that's happening at central banks right now? And how do you deal with the fact that over 70% of your citizens don't have financial access, don't have basic human freedoms, and cannot live a high quality of life? We as human beings designed the perfect money, a money that has a fixed supply, a known issuance, and can be defended against the macro environment we're in today. We designed a monetary network that's open, inclusive to all, only requires a mobile phone and an internet connection, and gives the unbanked access to a monetary network that, by the way, is the best we've seen in human history. To me, I question those that question that. It is an absolute no-brainer, and it doesn't come to me as a surprise. I think what El Salvador is doing is tremendously brave, and they are the first of many. These are two fundamental problems that the human species has faced with money. Money is the most viral product of all time, one of the most shared products in human history. It's akin to water in living a high quality of life, and he's giving his citizens hope. And I don't see any problem with that. And those that have a problem with that, I seriously question their motives and principles.
Well, maybe we'll see you down in Bitcoin Beach as this all goes into place.
You will.
Jack, thanks so much for joining us today and going over a lot of these issues. We hope to check in again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Jack Mallers is the CEO of Zap.